So now let's look at the functional based traditional costing method to understand the differences, right? So the departmental over in the traditional method, so departmental overhead rates are allocated based on the various stages. So in the stage one, we accumulate the cost of indirect labor, indirect materials in and other overheads into departments, department 1, department 2, department 3, and then these departments are allocated to the products based on the direct labor hours, machine hours on raw material cost, and they are called departmental allocation rate basis, and it's applied to all the products equally, right? So that's called peanut butter costing. Describes the approach as uniformly assigning. So I assign every all the resources to the equally to the cost objects. But that's not the reality. The reality of the allocation of the resources is that every product is different. Let's say some product are more complex in design, so the design team is going to spend much more time on to the certain products compared to a product which has lesser design. If and the quality control team will also spend much more time on that particular um, product rather than equally to every product. So it depends on what are the features of the product, what are the design of the product. Every department will be spending different time on different product, and that's the idea of activity based costing, to allocate the right cost to the product based on the actual design. So if we understand it through the flow chart, so the main focus here is on the functions. So the cost view is we allocate the resources to the functions, and then the functions is going to be allocated to the products. From operational view, we do the efficiency analysis also for the functions, and the performance analysis is also for the functions. While in the activity, the problem with this approach is that individual products may not use the resources in the uniform way, as we have already explained. That results in some overcosting or undercosting for of certain products, and that may also result in showing that products are not profitable, or some products are overly profitable, which they actually should not be. So to refine this costing system, we reclassify the indirect cost as direct cost, so we don't consider them indirect anything. We are all costs are directly related, so we will identify all the costs which are directly related to the products. Then we need to define more cost pools. How we are going to define? So we're gonna look at the process in the coming slides, how we define the cost pools, and then we identify the cost drivers. That's the step of another step of the activity based costing, and then we use the activity based costing. So the activity based costing model, the resources are allocated to the activities rather than to the functions. So we don't assign the resources to the functions, we assign them to the activities, and then these activities are assigned to the products and also the consumers, because not only the products are using the activities, the customers are also using the activities, right? Because for example, a customer may require much more robust way of quality control. A customer maybe keep on calling multiple times to the customer service center. A customer may be requiring you to have multiple time of invoices, one time for so the usage of the company's resources are different by each customer. Some customers make small orders in large quantities. Some customers make larger orders in smaller quantities. So the cost for both the customers is going to be completely different, because the way that they use the resources of the company is different, right? So to understand the productivity or profitability of the customers is important to have activity based costing. From operational view also, for activities we carry out a driver analysis, means cost driver analysis. What are the cost driver for this particular activity? And then we carry out the performance analysis based on what would have been the capacity of this particular activity, what is actually utilized, what is the cost. of this particular activity and its impact on to the profitability, so that we can see how we can re-engineer the cost to improve the profitability of different products. So, defining the ABC system usually works with this. So, there are certain things that we need to understand in the ABC system, activity based costing system. So, there is a cost object. Cost objects are the products or consumers. They are the one which for which we need to measure the profitability. So, they become the cost object. So it we want to measure the profitability for each product. We want to measure the profitability for each consumer. So that's why they become our cost object, and we need to measure the cost for these particular products and assign the cost to these particular products and consumers. So these cost objects uh, use the company's resources through the activities, right? So as we say, quality control activities, manufacturing activities, finance, procurement, supply chain, logistics, packing, customer service, everything, right? So they use they for their particular activities they use the resources of the company, and that resource of the company leads to the cost. So we if we work backwards rather than looking from the cost, we look from the cost object. So that's the starting point of the activity based costing. So first we understand what are the cost objects, then we understand what are the activities, then we would understand what is the consumption, and finally the assignment of cost.